This is Ken McBride with the Goodonomics Radio. I'm here with Barbara Brennan. Did I say that right?
You did.
I did. Of Playmore.
Playmore.
Playmore is her company, and she has written an awesome book called The Kudo Effect. And why in the world would I be talking to somebody about the Kudo Effect? Because this goes into the category of personal goodonomics. Because kindness is a very important piece in our own personal lives, but since this is a business show, it moves into business, and you've got some delightful stories as you were kind of telling me a bit about the book. So I want to know, and our listeners and viewers, I think, want to know, kind of how, who you are as a human being, and how you got to write a book called The Kudo Effect. And then I know that Sherry from Award and Sign has created a program to support the Kudo Effect. And I don't know all the interactions of that because I'm sort of learning about this. But so let's start by telling us about you as a human.
Me as a human. All right. Well, I think I started out life as a typical human on, high school, college, went to work in the world of business. But along that path, I discovered some very interesting things. And that was that in workplace settings where people were honored, appreciated, had fun doing that as well, really felt warm and good about doing all of that, the companies were extremely successful and extremely profitable.
What a coincidence.
Isn't that amazing? I also found out, as you would in the field that I ended up specializing in, which was human resources, that people seem to respond better to affirmation than disciplinary actions. So, as I say, I'm a recovering disciplinary action person. Don't believe in it anymore. I do believe in performance enhancement. My career took an interesting turn when I got a chance to work for an organization that didn't do any of these things. In fact, didn't feel that people needed to be honored or affirmed or recognized or rewarded or appreciated. And it was absolutely devastating for me. It was so devastating, in fact, that I got ill over it. I was diagnosed with a progressive degenerative disease, lost the use of my left arm wholly and completely, and it hurt at the same time, which should never happen. And so I left, and I had to go get well. And in the process of getting well, I discovered that there was something so magical and so special about those organizations that I had been blessed to be with before, and that the world needed to know more about that. And so I set out on a mission by forming a company called Playmore, writing some books about play. And
what kind of books? Tell me some of the titles.
Well, the first book was called The Gift of Play, Why Adult Women Stop Playing and How to Start Again, which was based a lot on my personal story of getting myself so involved with work that I forgot to enjoy one of the best gifts we've ever been given, which is the ability to play. Little girls here, very much in their adolescence, grow up, be a lady, don't play like that anymore. They have to leave their dolls behind. It's hard. They lose their identity around a lot of that. That moved on. Then I wrote a book, a fable, called Office Peace, and it's about Sam, who goes to work for the perfect company. So we had to put a fable on the title. We weren't planning to do that, but several of the people who were reading it in the editing mode said, this isn't a true story. You must say fable. And then I wrote a book called Underwear. It's What's Underneath That Counts, which is just 4 concepts that I left as a legacy book for my children, 4 things that I firmly believe in. And then most recently, I've just finished The Kudo Effect. And it's kind of a culmination of all of that.
And how did you come upon the Kudo Effect and choose a title, which is a great title, incidentally, I think?
Well, it's a great story, and the credit goes to Sherry Armstrong at Award and Sign, because she came up with this character, Kudo. And she put it, actually Kudo's on Facebook. You can go find Kudo on Facebook. And Kudo kind of represents this person that is all of us at any point in time, in the sense that they bring happiness and joy by honoring, affirming, remembering, recognizing, appreciating people. That's what Kudo is about. Kudo walks through the world in us in any form when we remember to give people that wonderful gift of affirmation.
Does that go for ourselves too?
Oh, very much for ourselves.
Right. Let's not forget ourselves.
Let's not forget
because
ourselves.
Because we were taught by some well-meaning parents that wasn't okay to do in many cases, correct?
Right. As I say in the preface of the book, we have been taught that. that it isn't, that we should be selfless in all that we do. And if you're in the workplace, it's just your job is another way. It's not even about, it's just the job, it's just the job description. Why do I have to say anything? But as I argue, we don't know what it took for somebody to do the usual. We don't know where they came from that morning. We don't know what they had to extricate themselves from as far as a problem in the household or the family or with their health. They may be battling an illness. And that's all behind the scenes. And so while work looks normal to us and we tend not to appreciate it, and we need to, even just the regular normal, I once gave an award to one of my staff that I said, you know what, I walked up to him and it was a small thing, and I said, you show up every day. Every day. I just know you're going to be here. And I can't tell you how much I depend on that and how much I appreciate that. It really, really, really makes a difference to me. And, this person isn't somebody who is, probably ever going to be well known for something, in a big limelight kind of situation, but they can be known in their own world, and that world is dependability, and that means a lot to me. We all know people who have done things for us, hard or easy, are doing them for us every day. We know people who just need to be affirmed for who they are, the good people that they are. And the Kudo Effect tells 9 stories, 9 totally different settings, everything from someone in a nursing home to a high school student who has some interesting thoughts about what's going on with her, to business people, a teacher, a gentleman who's teaching baseball to young men. But it tells what is deep down inside of them that is unfed, unnourished, and even though they'll continue to do all the good things they do, there's something that is missing. And it is that piece that the rest of us need to see and understand and comment on. Whether we do it through just a thank you or a small gift or a plaque, as my friend Sherry is doing with her Send a Plaque website now. We need to be able to say what people need to hear. It isn't all about just doing it for selflessness. It is knowing that we're doing the right thing. It is knowing that it is appreciated.
So now, we talk about, and Good Economics is about business, excuse me, and so how can this Kudo thing, which a lot of people are skeptical about all this heart stuff, and we were trained in business school to compete and monopolize and kill the competition. What's the real impact on an organization? You had the privilege of working for some that were successful. Give us a little more insight into how that works in real life.
Well, I'll tell you, there's a lot of money in business if they understand this concept. And the sooner business realizes that, the more money can come their way. In one organization where I worked, we put in a simple program of appreciation. There were no rules. There was no paperwork to fill out. There wasn't collect 6 rewards and trade it in for a cup of coffee or a trip to Hawaii. There was nothing other than the handing of a small symbol from one person to another. It wasn't recorded anywhere. It wasn't put anywhere. The environment of that organization at that time, in the business that they were in, was very chaotic. A lot of mergers, acquisitions, people buying people out, partnering, and whatever. And so somebody had come to that organization and wanted to purchase them, and they decided to put off selling for a little while. And this initiative of the small token was one of many strategies that was put in place that when that place did sell 4 years later, the original offering price on it was $75 million. It sold for $210 million. About 10 years after that, they won a National Customer Care Award. And the team was brought in to look at what were the things that made that up. And one of the things on the list was this sense of care for each other. See, what happened is that the employees who worked there learned to appreciate each other constantly, all the time, all the way. And so what happened is when the customer came into that environment, it just naturally accrued that they would receive that same respectful, appreciative.
So that was normal.
That was normal.
Not abnormal.
They created normal. In other words, they were winning an award for what to them was a normal environment.
Well, wouldn't that be nice if we had a new normal, right?
If we had an absolutely new normal.
A totally new normal that was non-polluting, both from a psychic, behavioral sense as well as an environmental sense. Because the current normal, which I call my bad-onomics, is not sustainable anymore. And kindness in this Kudo idea is one of the least expensive, right?
Right, absolutely.
And most sustainable thing that we could do.
You could possibly do. You create a sense of, when you appreciate someone, they get an affirmation that they have just done the right thing. And there is this observer of the right thing happening. So once you give this and you see Susie hand to Sam and say, thank you for covering my shift yesterday. I really needed to be with my kid, and I know that meant you had to do a double. And I really appreciate that. You have to understand other people see that too. And they say, wait a minute, that's what we do for each other. That creates that whole environment of giving and sharing and caring. And it doesn't make it abnormal or the people who do it extra special. It's what everybody does. And that is what people notice. And then they begin to mimic that behavior, and they see it and they spread it. It just keeps going and going.